That random comic fan 10 here, just here to talk about my thoughts, review, and reaction to the Avengers movie, Avengers 2 Age of Ultron. Now, starting off, uh, getting part I won't get into spoilers, as you know I do, and then I'll give a warning when I start using spoilers. So consider this spoiler and non-spoiler review. So on with the non-spoiler portion. So I overall thought this was a really good movie. There were a few problems that I had with the movie, but that was more with the individual characters, not the whole movie itself. The movie itself, as a plot, is very promising, and it really works out. And I really liked it, but I just had like a few nitpicks with some of the characters. For example, basically there has been a problem that I've kind of had with every character in the movie. But only one I haven't really had a problem with, I guess, is Vision. Vision is in the movie, and he is awesome. I mean, that's not really a spoiler. He's been shown on a few posters by this point, but he's awesome. But when I talk about problems I had with the characters, there's some that I can't say right now because of spoiler purposes, but just generally speaking, Thor has exactly no role in this movie. Thor is literally here just to set up his third movie, Thor 3. That seems like his only purpose in the film, which is kind of disappointing. I expected him to do more in this film. And also the character Ultron, who of course is the big baddie in the movie, or big baddie isn't as bad as he seems. That's kind of the issue I had with this movie, like the biggest issue. Ultron isn't the same version of Ultron that we got in the comics. This version of Ultron is more human, which is kind of disappointing. I know, like, some people can argue that giving him a human personality would make him more interesting, but it just didn't really work for this character. I mean, literally, Loki and Thanos have less emotion than Ultron does, which to me should be the complete other way around. Like, without spoilers, there's one scene where Ultron like really physically hurts someone, and then he turns around and apologizes for it. Which, if you read the comics, you know that for Ultron that's really out of character. Like, Ultron is the type of villain that will hurt someone and then just go right back to what he's doing. He just doesn't care. In this like movie, instead of seeing like a supreme villain, he seems more like a child who's pissed off at his parents. In this case, Iron Man and Thor. Iron Man and Hulk. Yes, Ultron is basically the son of Hulk and Iron Man, and is pissed off and is acting rebellious. That's what it felt like to me, more so than a villain. Which, if he had started out like that and then gained his way up to being Ultron, the Ultron that we know from comics, the more bad, like, Ultron, that would have been fine, but the movie just didn't have enough time for that. I mean, if they had added another 30 minutes to the movie, they would have had a little more time for that, and I would have been okay with that. I would have thought that would be been good. Also, the Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch were also in the movie. Which, Quicksilver, I'm gonna get into him because I actually have a comparison video between him and the Days of Future Past Quicksilver. So if you want me to talk about Quicksilver, go watch that video. But Scarlet Witch, she was a great part of the movie. I really liked her. It's too bad that because of copyright, they had to give her a completely different origin story. Her and Quicksilver in this movie are both Russian, which I kind of got over afterwards, but at first I was kind of irritated. You know, me just being the big fanboy I am, I'm like, no, Black Widow, you're supposed to have a Russian accent, not them. But, you know, eventually I got over it. First, it's just a little shocking, but I don't know what I expected. I should have expected them to have somewhat of a Russian accent after I saw the end credits to Captain America 2. And yeah, so overall it's a good movie. I'd probably rate it about 8. Yeah, about 8.5 to 7.5 or 8 out of 10 ratio, somewhere around there. And this is where the spoiler-free section ends. So I will be getting into spoilers now. You have been warned. I will give you guys 3 seconds to click off the video. 1, 2, and okay. So hopefully they're gone by now. Let's get into the spoilers of this film. So, Quicksilver dies in the movie, but I'm going to talk more about that in the Quicksilver comparison video. So, yeah. The movie was good, but Ultron was a big problem for me. He just acted too, he seems more like an anti-hero than a villain. You know how, like, for the DC fans who have played Batman Arkham City, he seemed kind of the way that Mr. Freeze seemed in that movie. It's like, I'm kind of bad, but I have a good reason to do this, and I don't really want to do this. He seemed more like an anti-hero than a villain. Yeah. Which I kind of, took issue to that, seeing as how this is the one character that they could have had the chance to make him completely a non-emotional, just robot. And they didn't take that opportunity, which I was really disappointed with. So basically, if you don't know, Ultron is kind of Tony Stark's personality, but just see, basically the way I see it is Tony Stark has all these thoughts after he saw the portal in the first film, and he's thinking about ways to protect Earth. So when he creates Ultron, Ultron basically takes all of his thoughts, kind of his personality, his sense of humor, and everything, and he goes rogue and decides to destroy Earth because it's bad. Because he have experienced and have seen like all the bad that Tony Stark has seen from it, but since he's a robot, he reacts differently than a human would. Because you know, a human would just be used to that, but a robot saying that, he's like, oh my god, this is awful. I need to like do something about this. So that's just kind of what I took from it. But the plot overall really works, but I just didn't really like Ultron. Like, he was okay. Kevin Spader did an amazing job. That awesome voice acting there. But I feel like Marvel could have made him a little more to the comics. Now, the gripe I said that I had with Thor earlier. Thor, if you took Thor out of this movie, it wouldn't have made a difference. Like, at all. Except for that shirtless scene he had in the water. Would have made zero difference. Because basically, this is what Thor did. Hey, guys, I have a third movie coming. See that too. Then he flew away. That's basically what he did. Going down the list of characters, there was a scene where Scarlet Witch was mind controlling all the Avengers. Which I'm like, Hawkeye, you better not get mind controlled again. But he didn't. He took out an arrow and electrocuted her. It's like, nope, not going through that again. I'm like, yes. Which Hawkeye was like probably one of my favorite parts of this film. Hawkeye is just such an amazing character and really underrated character compared to the rest of the Avengers. He's the only one that doesn't have like a really cool feature, even though he's probably one of like one of the most interesting characters. But we didn't get to see him that much in the first film because he was basically Loki's henchman in the entire first movie except for the last act. But in this movie you get to see him. He has a wife and kids, family. It's awesome. He got a new suit that looks way better than the first one. He still seems different from comics, which I don't know what it is. Marvel are usually on point with most of their characters, but they occasionally switch up a few. Hawkeye originally was the character that I thought was going to die in the film. I expected them to kill him off, but he actually stayed. Because that seems like it'd be the setup that they would use if they're going to kill anyone off. It seems like it would have been Hawkeye. He has a wife and family now. He's the only Avengers without like power or an armored suit. So it seems like he would be the one getting killed off. But it was Quicksilver. So yeah, I thought this movie had some pretty low points and pretty high points. When the Avengers getting mind controlled, you got to see it from their point of view. The Black Widow stuff looked awesome. It showed her doing ballet and then killing people. It was awesome. I loved it. Love the Black Widow scenes. The Hulk scenes, that was when the Hulk and Iron Buster scene was. Hulkbuster, Iron Man suit. Nah, sorry. Sorry, I know I pissed off all the Marvel fans out there, other Marvel fans. Sorry, slip of the tongue. I thought that would have been a much better, it was a cool scene. I thought it would have been a much better scene if you got to see it from Hulk's point of view. Because you got to see it from like the general point of view, but when other people got mind controlled, you were able to see it from their point of view. If you were able to see that from Hulk's point of view, it would have been awesome. Jake, just experience what Bruce Banner is going through. It would have been an awesome cinematic experience. So I feel like if they had added that, it would have enhanced the movie. The fight scene between Hulkbuster and the Hulk that everyone was talking about, it was okay. I liked it. I thought it was pretty good. I don't know what Tony Stark's plan was though, because he willingly just created destruction. I thought he had a plan when he first came in with the Hulkbuster suit. I'm like, oh, he's gonna like fly Hulk like high up in the sky until he loses oxygen and knocks him out, then fly back down. But no, he starts throwing him into buildings and stuff. I'm like, dang it. I mean, I swear, is this gonna happen in one more superhero movie? Does any superhero have the thought, let me fight this guy in a different area to prevent casualties or buildings from being destructed? It seems like no one does. So, thought that scene was pretty good. You got to see Captain America back in the 1940s with Bucky and Peggy and stuff. Also an interesting concept. I'm sure that won't come into play later. Well, the Bucky thing probably will. Wonder if Bucky's memories will come back by the Captain America Winter Soldier. I'm assuming that they will. I said Captain America Winter Soldier. I mean Captain America 3 Civil War. Which, this movie seems like it was the prime setup for Civil War. So I'm assuming after this, like, basically Tony Stark got in some crap with the government. And he's like, okay, well, give us all your stuff. Tell us all these heroes' secret identities. And that's basically going to be how it starts. Just a little talk about Civil War for a second. I'm interested in the concept of the Civil War movie, but with the amount of characters that the company owns, they don't own any of the X-Men. They don't own Fantastic Four. They own Spider-Man now, but I don't know if Spider-Man's going to be in the film. When I saw the roster or list, it doesn't seem like he's in the film. Which, if you don't have Spider-Man in Civil War, it's just not the same. But they've added a lot of new characters, and I'm sure that's going to be cool to see. But there's a lot of characters in Civil War, it seems, so I just hope that the primary focus is going to be Captain America and Iron Man, as it should be. But that's just my thoughts on Civil War and my review of Avengers 2. I think it's a great movie. I'm probably going to buy it on Blu-ray. So, yeah, great movie.